It's your boy, Jeff Jones.
It is the one, the only upset specialist, Thomas Boykin.
Yeah. Always and forever. Who? Mr. Mike Jones.
And this is 234 Sports Talk. Fellas, let's talk about it.
Let's get at it.
Let's talk about it. All right, tomorrow, Saturday, big fight. We've been waiting for it. Terence Crawford versus your boy, Errol Spence Jr. They're going at it tomorrow, man, for the welterweight championship and the unification, might I add, of all belts. When we look at this, fellas, and we've talked about it, when we look at this, who do you think will win this fight and why do you think that they will win this fight?
Well, I still think Mr. Crawford's going to win this fight. Not taking away anything from Spence. Spence is a great fighter. But Bud is a whole nother animal. 2-inch reach advantage, jab factor, switching style factor. I just think it's going to be to a point where it's going to be almost like a Floyd Mayweather fight where he's going to box and teach. And if Spence ain't careful, he'll get knocked out if he ain't careful. But as we all said earlier, it's a 50-50 fight. It can go either way. I'm just putting my money on Crawford. What you got on it, MJ?
Yeah, man, it's good for me. It's good boxing is back. You know, it's been a while since I've been interested in a boxing match in a long time. And these two fighters, man, I think they're going to be worth the money to watch. Like you said, it's a 50-50 up in the air type of a match. Your boy Crawford, man, my understanding, you know, he can pull any type of package out in his boxing style and defeat you. Spencer, man, you know, they say he put his mouthpiece in, man. He's one of the toughest fighters to sit and just muscle you around and push you in a corner, man. So Crawford has got to be very careful with that. But having said all that, man, I'm putting my $1.15 on Mr. Spencer. I think he gets it done. I think he's going to wear Mr. Crawford out late in the round, and it's going to be won by decision. And the good thing about this fight also is that, you know, I think they have it in the clause that they can, you know, do another fight. So hopefully this is kind of like the old school with Sugar Ray Leonard and Hearns and all them guys. Maybe we are this might be the beginning of something special for the future for the boxing fans.
Well, Spence is 28-0, coming in, putting that you know, those belts on the line. This is definitely going to be a unification for the welterweight titles. Then you look at Mr. Crawford, 39-0. These guys coming in. When we look at their styles, fellas, okay, we know that Spence is a guy that likes to come. He's real accurate with the body shots. I mean, laser accuracy with the body shots. He's a guy that likes to come at you and pretty much wear his opponents down. Whereas Crawford, who's a guy who's a switch hitter, can go orthodox, can go southpaw, a guy who can really get at you. I mean, he's a good counter puncher. When you look at these styles, you know, do you think that Crawford style will outshine Spence style? Or do you think Spence's style will outshine Crawford's style?
I think that the 2-inch reach advantage is going to play a big deal. Taking nothing away from Spence, he's a pressure fighter. He likes leaning in. He likes body shots. He likes keeping the pressure put on you to see if you're going to break so he can break you down. On the other hand, I think with going to the body, Crawford is prone to wake him up and catch him with an uppercut. because once you go downstairs, you leaving your head down. So Crawford's one of them cats that you want to keep your head down. Okay, let me pick it up for you. So it's going to be a battle of wills. I think the pressure style of Spence is going to play a part in how Crawford decides he wants to fight. Whether he's going to be a tactician, a boxer, or I'm gonna go in there and brawl with it. It all depends on how Spence comes out. The one thing I do know, Crawford can't come out slow like he sometimes does in past fights. He can't come out slow against Spence. If he comes out slow against Spence, Spence will manhandle straight up. So if he's not on his game from jump, then yeah, he's in for a problem. But I think Crawford will be up for the challenge. What do you think, MJ?
Well, Crawford, like Jones said, man, he can do multiple. He has multiple skill set in the boxing ring. My thing with that is don't get too cute being in the ring, because sometimes you can see it and go off schedule, and man, you might see it make a mistake. And for Spence, he's like you said, he's got a nice style to himself too. But he's probably I'm not saying he's one dimensional, but sometimes being steady Eddie there's nothing wrong with being steady Eddie and just pounding the rock until it cracks. You know what I mean? So it's gonna be a hard one to call, man. But I think we're gonna see how it's gonna go early. I'm gonna say about the second or third round. If it makes it to the second or third round, we're gonna see how it's gonna play out. If it makes it beyond the third round and it is even, man, I'm looking for Spence to take this thing on home.
I'm with you. I'm not looking for a knockout. I'm looking for a split decision.
Right.
I'm looking for two boxers to put on a great show and let it go down to the scorecards.
So you fellas think do you really think that this is gonna go the distance, or do you think that one of these fighters is going to get knocked out?
I believe it's going to go the distance. I believe it'll go all around. I think it'll come down to a split decision. I don't foresee anybody just being careless and throwing caution to the wind. I don't see that.
I tell you what, if Crawford, like we was talking about him being multiple dynamic in the ring, if he does switch up some stuff, man, he can easily catch Spence, off guard, early. But if that thing goes, like I said, beyond the third and fourth round, hey, Spence might sit and deliver a blow that can maybe knock him out. I mean, it's highly unlikely, but it's very possible if it goes late into those rounds. So, I think both boxers are capable of knocking each other out. But I think, their skill set, man, like I said, they got a good record. Both of them do. So, I don't think they're going to be surprised or be careless to let a knockout creep up on them.
Nah. If we get a knockout treated, it'll be a bonus. But I think we're going to get treated to a real good boxing match, I think.
Well, boxing great Mike Tyson, he put his 2 cents in. He said he's going to be front and center. And they asked him, who do you think will win this fight and how do you think it'll play out? And Mike Tyson pretty much said what I said the first time we talked about this fight. I felt that nothing, once again, and we're going to show some love to Errol Spence because we some of the comments we got from the last show about the fight, the guys, I think they kind of felt like we weren't showing no love to Errol Spence, but Errol Spence is a great fighter, no doubt. Before I say what I'm gonna say, Errol Spence is a great fighter.
Yeah.
He's the bigger of the two. And I think that a lot of people think because of his size that, and his skill set, because he's a good boxer, don't get me wrong. And he can really break you down at the body. A lot of people think that Bud is too small. And they think that Errol's going to have his way with him. But once again, that can happen. It's possible. I mean, to me, this is a 50-50 fight. But I'm looking at it from the angle that, and I talked about this, the same thing I said, the same thing that boxing legend Mike Tyson said. He said, and when you look at Errol Spence and you look at Terence Crawford is a more skilled boxer. Terence Crawford, because he can counterpunch so effectively. Mike Tyson said he feels as if Spence don't get on him, if Spence don't jump on him and stay on him, the whole fight, he feels that if Spence starts looking and second guessing, he thinks that that's when Crawford is going to catch him with something and end the night. And that's the same thing I said. And I think that's how it's going to play out. I think he's going to come out and I think he's going to try to attack Crawford early, but I think he's going to figure out that Crawford is a master in the ring. This guy, I'm telling you, this guy is a crafty boxer. And I think he's got something in store. And I think it's going to go the distance. I really do. But I think that Mr. Crawford is going to be the one that holds up all the belts at the end of the night.
Facts. I agree.
Well, our guy Mike Jones, he said that it's going to be Spence at the end of the night.
Yes, sir.
So
yes, sir.
we shall see, fellas. We shall see. And I, a lot of people have been commenting and talking about it, and everybody's got their guy. Everybody has their opinion. And one thing we'll do on this show is we'll always honor your opinion. We'll always honor your opinion. If somebody writes in and they disagree with us, makes a comment, and they disagree with what we said, hey, I'll tell them, like, thank you for the comment. We appreciate your comment, and if that's the way you feel about it, that's great. I mean,
That's because everybody's entitled to what they think. It's not correct. A right or wrong answer. It's just what you think.
Yeah.
So it's all good.
Definitely. Just like any basketball game, you feel your team is going to win. You believe in your team. And I just believe that looking at Mr. Crawford, his skills are better than our guy, Spence. And I think he's going to win come Saturday night. All right, fellas, let's talk a little bit of NBA. Jaylen Brown, my man just signed a big 5-year, $304 million contract. Supermax extension with the Boston Celtics. The man is rolling in bread. He got the bag, fellas. Now, what do you think when you look at Jaylen Brown? Do you think, and I've had this conversation with a lot of people, and do you think that he is the best Boston Celtic on that team, or do you think he's the second best behind Mr. Jason Tatum?
I still think Tatum has him beat, but Brown is the more consistent of the two. That's my thinking. However, when it comes down to the Boston Celtics and Jaylen Brown, you're sinking $304 million into one player, and you're changing the whole identity of your team. They're getting away from playing defense and going offense. Now, what's gotten Boston all these major runs is the ability to have stops and the ability to play defense. If you lose that identity, who are you going to play with in the Eastern Conference? Because there are some young up-and-coming teams that are up-and-coming, i.e. Brooklyn, that are young and talented and made a run last year to get in the playoffs. Now they have a taste of what the playoffs feel like. You don't need to digress. You need to progress, not digress. If you digress, you're giving the Nets a chance. You're giving Miami a chance, especially if they pull the trigger with this with these deals trying to get Damian Lillard, you're opening the door for problems. You still can't leave Philadelphia out of the mix. Definitely can't leave Milwaukee out the mix because Milwaukee is loaded. So I like the fact that Jaylen Brown got paid. I'm happy for him that he got paid, but ultimately, is it going to be a sacrifice for the Boston Celtics to digress back to non-playoff basketball? That's going to be the big question.
Let me correct myself on this, Tom, for a second. It was 5 years, $303.7 million, the contract. Still,
like are we going to digress and go to non-playoff basketball behind this? Or are we going to progress and move toward a championship? It sounds like you're going all in on one player and you're losing pieces because you've already started losing pieces in the offseason. So are we going to digress or are we going to progress? It sounds like they're digressing and changing directions from the identity of their team. We'll see how far it goes. What you got on it, MJ?
Yeah, I agree with you, man. I think that Jason Tatum, I think he's a little bit ahead of Jaylen Brown, as far as the game offensively. But like you said, Brown is more consistent. Tatum can get sometime, man. Tatum can go missing in some games,
Bingo.
man.
Bingo.
Something happens. I don't know.
Absolutely.
But having said that, man, financially, the NBA, man, they can shell out this money now. I mean, I remember when Michael Jordan asked for $30 million a year. You know, if you multiply that times 5 years, that's still nowhere near what the players are getting paid. It's not only Boston that's paying out this big money towards certain players on the team. The level of pay has gone up. I'm quite sure a guy riding the bench, the 13th or the 14th player on the team, is making a very good salary. So it's just just how the day. I mean, the times are these days. I mean, there's a lot of money to go around. I mean, and if you're good player, and I don't think he's a superstar. I don't think Brown is a superstar. To me, you think that's superstar money, and it is. I even heard who was it talking? I think it was Coach Jackson. They played Mark Jackson. He had said, these guys are getting paid this big money, superstar money. And so be it, if that's what organizations want to do to keep players on their team. Now, how does that affect Boston going forward as a team? Like you said, they lost some pieces, defensive pieces. So, I don't know. I don't know if they got the money to pay the other guys on the team or get some. But I don't know. I'm glad guys are getting paid money. Yeah, I'm just upset, man, that my skill set wasn't as great. Man, I would be sitting like those guys, man. But I'm happy for him. Tatum, he gonna get paid if he ain't already got paid. So it's league, it's league world. It's going around the whole league. Everybody's getting paid big money, man.
It's like you said, MJ. It's not only basketball. It's sports as a whole. It's sports as a whole that these athletes is getting paid millions and millions of dollars to play a game that they love, that they sacrifice to get to. But the amount of money that you paying these guys is wow. It's wow. It's ridiculous.
I tell you what, man, sometimes I sit up there, and you look at school teachers. I don't know, sometimes I think the world got it all backwards sometimes. Basketball, man, I love basketball, but it's an entertainment, and to entertain people, man, you will get paid. Just that simple.
Absolutely. Well, absolutely.
last season, this is what Mr. Brown is. These are his numbers: 26.6 points, 6.9 rebounds, 3.5 assists, and he shot 49.1%. Now, those are some good numbers. And I agree with you all. I think that Mr. Jason Tatum is the best basketball player on the Boston Celtics roster. But at the same time, once again, just like you all said, I agree that Jaylen Brown is the most consistent. It just seemed like when they went through their in times where they just went cold, when they couldn't, buy a basket, couldn't hit the side of a barn, it just seemed like Jaylen Brown would just show up. But they have lost some pieces. They've lost Grant Williams. They lost Marcus Smart. Do you fellas think that they can replace those two? I mean, what they brought as far as their toughness on the defensive end, you think they can replace those two?
I don't think so. Because not only was Marcus Smart your defensive leader, he was a veteran leader. He was veteran leadership on your team. That's what you need to keep your team glued to where you're going. Now, mind you, Marcus Smart went to Memphis, which is pretty good for me because now you can mentor Ja Morant if he so chooses to. That can be a mold for Ja Morant to be like, hey, I need to get right. Because right now, what he's saying and what he's doing is, but we're not into that right now. But the keys here, Boston is got to figure out where they're going to go identity-wise because they lost they're losing the defensive identity. Now, are you going to go offense or are you going to try to replace and rebuild your defense? It sounds like you're trying to go offense, the way you're paying Brown and not necessarily bringing in the same caliber defensive players behind the pieces you lost. So it sounds like you're trying to go offense and less defense. So in the Eastern Conference, trying to play running gun, I don't know about that one.
Well, they brought in Porzingis. That's another 23 points. What did he averaged? And just like you said, I think they are going offensive minded.
Yeah, I believe that. Don't get me wrong, Porzingis is a pretty good player. He's just not going to bring nothing defensively to that team. He'll bring offense, but he ain't going to bring defense. And that's a 7-footer.
But look, check this out, man. Anybody can be replaced. Anybody can be replaced. But like you said, did they bring players in to replace those players to do the same thing? And like you guys said, it looks like they're going offensively. Unless the coach can scheme, you know what I'm saying? Maybe,
Thanks.
You can scheme to take away from having a certain type of a player. But, you better know what you're doing with them X's and O's if that's the route you're going to go.
Facts. Absolute facts. Got to have a game plan. If you ain't got a game plan, you just spinning your wheels because this team's just lining up. And like I was telling you earlier, Brooklyn is lining up and they got young people coming and they got playoff experience last year. And now they're adding more young cats to do more on their side of the rock. So that's going to be on the team on the rise. I'll be keeping my eyes open on Brooklyn.
Hey, but look, check this out, guys. I've never understood professional sports. If you're a team and you're so close to winning a championship, I mean, sometimes, man, it seems like they'll turn a whole team up, man, and bring like Milwaukee, man. I really this day don't understand why they did all that. You know, sometimes it works, they can tear it down and then boom, you know, the next year they in the championship game. But man, why would you? I mean, if I'm gonna do anything, maybe a player or two, and then look in the draft or something like that, man. That defensive, it was working to me for Boston. You know, those two players, and also, man, Jones. I did not know Brown was averaging 26 points. Was this the whole season or was this the
Yeah,
playoffs?
that was the whole season. 26 points a game was the whole season.
Wow.
Brown,
That's what I'm
he's
saying.
definitely a great player.
Oh, without question. You can't deny the talent Jaylen Brown is. You can't deny that. It's who he is.
Huh.
Now, is the coaching staff going to change up their schematics and go through him instead of Tatum, or are they just going to still lean on Tatum? That's going to be the friction. That's going to be something that the coach is going to have to work out in his dynamic in the X and O's.
Hey, look, Thomas, you need a strong point guard. We know how the Lakers have been with LeBron. You need a strong point guard who's going to be able to distribute and know who to get the ball to out of those two players, Brown and Tatum. You know what I'm saying? You get a weak point guard, you know what? You might have some, like you said, some friction on that team. You know, hey, give me the ball. Now give me the ball.
Keep in mind, too, those two guys almost play like LeBron. They got to play with, they like bringing the ball up. And they tag team bringing the ball up. So you're going to have to revamp your team and run it through a point guard so that they don't do that. But we'll see what the coaching staff says about that.
I feel that that's what the Boston Celtics are missing. I think they're missing a point guard. They need a point guard. And if you look at those two, man, they had a lot of turnovers. Jason, I mean, it's almost like they was taking turns turning the ball over in the playoffs. You know, Tatum would turn it over, Brown would turn it over. I mean, they just got ugly with the turnovers.
That's why the ball should have been in Marcus Smart's hand, because Marcus Smart was the one directing traffic. They should have kept Marcus Smart directing traffic.
They definitely going to have to get them a true point guard, somebody that can really play the position.
Derrick Rose is out there. Go get Derrick Rose.
Well, fellas, we want to turn our attention to Bronny James. Bronny James was practicing with USC and had suffered cardiac arrest. He was, in the ICU, but he's been released from the hospital. Fellas, when you look at this, and we want to say that we wish Bronny the best and that he recovers. And a lot of times people say, oh, I hope he could still play basketball. Forget the game. We want to make sure that the young man is okay. That's first and foremost. And we hope that everything is okay with Bronny. When you look at this, fellas, what did you think when you heard this? I was shocked.
Oh, man, I was floored because you're talking about an 18, 19-year-old kid. And suffering a cardiac arrest when they're in the prime of life and in shape and going through a cardiac arrest. I just hope, the young man doesn't have any underlying conditions to bring that back. I wish him well. I wish him a speedy recovery, but take your time coming back to that. Make sure you get thoroughly checked out to make sure you don't have any underlying conditions to bring that episode back. I'd rather much see you have a flourishing career and be alive versus, I'm going to go back and have a flourishing career and wind up in worse condition than what you started. So I hope he just takes the time out, rest, get rested up, get checked out to make sure there ain't no underlying conditions, and, continue to work his way back into his career set. What you got on him, Mike J?
Yeah, like you said, man, I was very shocked at a kid, 18, 19 years old. And the thing about it is, I hope he understands. And I know people don't realize sometimes the pressure that can be on a kid that has a
Oh,
father that
absolutely.
has his statue, and what people are talking, hey, he has the possibility to play with his dad in the NBA and all of this. Sometimes, man, when you have that high expectation, you sit and you overdo it, working out, straining the body to get, to that next level. And sometimes, man, you really have to listen to your body. I don't care if you're 18 or you're 40. You need to listen to what your body is telling you, and don't override stuff. You know what I mean? And I agree, Thomas. They're going to need to make sure that he's thoroughly checked out. And if there is anything that could possibly bring this back, then forget that basketball. You know what I mean? And I know he would be hurt. And I can only imagine what's going on in his mind right now. He's probably like, man, I ain't gonna be able to play no more. But man, we got great doctors and everything like that, man, and they got money, so I'm pretty sure they can get the best of the best to evaluate his body. And but yeah, I hope he gets better, man, and I hope he, I hope no more of this goes on with him, and I got him definitely in my prayers.
Definitely. Speedy recovery for the young man, for sure. Want to
Yeah,
see him alive and kicking, not, I don't want to see him back in that same situation fighting for his life. No, that's not what you want to see for an 18, 19-year-old. I'm just saying. You want to see him
Hey, and
alive and thrive.
my question also, guys, and maybe y'all got more insight on this. What was he doing at the time for this to had happened?
He
Do
was at
anybody know?
basketball practice. If I'm not mistaken, the report said he was at basketball practice.
Okay, so he was running the court. They was doing some drills or something, or
I guess something like that, and he wound up having a cardiac arrest. So,
okay.
like I said, I'd rather him get thoroughly checked out to make sure there's no underlying conditions to bring that back. And I'm sure,
Right.
I guarantee you his dad is doing that. I guarantee you that. I guarantee you Bron is looking at him and getting him checked out thoroughly. I guarantee it.
Yep.
oh yeah, Bron is big on his family, man, and
Oh, yeah.
he's gonna be on top of that, definitely. We
Yep.
wish the young man the best. Well, fellas, we talked about it. Until the next time, you can catch us right here on YouTube. You can catch us on Instagram. You can catch us on Twitter. You can catch us on TikTok. Look, and we want you to push that button. Subscribe, subscribe, subscribe. Push that button. It don't cost you nothing to push that button. And leave a comment. We want to talk to you whether you agree with what we talked about or if you don't agree with it. Especially, we want to hear about if you have any comments about the fight come Saturday night. We definitely want to hear about it. I want to see what's your take on it. All right,
So,
fellas. Till the next time, this is 234 Sports Talk. We are out. Peace.
peace.